We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us. Our guest with us this morning is Allison Fields. It's so nice to see her. She's a wonderful veterinarian, and she's joining us back for the first time in a while. And we can take some phone calls, 737-7587. And actually, Pat waited through the break, so let's start with that, and then we can take more calls if you have questions about your pets. The vet's here to try to answer. Let's go to Pat. Pat, good morning. Hi, Pat.
Hey, my brother and sister-in-law got a dog. Well, a year ago, my brother died, okay? And the dog went hunting for him in the house all the time. Now, my sister-in-law can't get her to come in the house. She feeds them water outside, but she can't get her to come in the house and everything. After that, what can she do?
So the dog just will not come back in and stays out in the yard, or runs free, or?
It runs free. You know, she live out the country, but stay up under. They got a patio out on the side of the house. The dog stay up under there all the time. You know, and she won't let my sister-in-law have nothing to do with her.
Okay.
Well, some dogs, you know, can be very bonded to one person. There also their person's not there anymore, so she's hanging out outside and guarding the place and eating and drinking. You know, you can always take it in and have the vet take a look at it, make sure that nothing's going on, make sure that, you know, it's healthy, because sometimes if they're ill, they will tend to hide and stay away from people. But if everything else seems okay, we're not having any vomiting or diarrhea, and we're eating well and everything else, then maybe this is the dog's new chosen way of life.
Yeah. I mean, you just keep feeding and caring for it. Maybe he'll warm up to the new owner after a period of time. Yeah. But would you want to make sure that he has a place to sleep in the winter that's comfortable and warm?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like he's keeping himself warm underneath. Yeah. But I mean, roaming free, it depends on how much property they have. Should we really be in a fence? You know, there's a lot of things. But for now, I think that, you know, a good exam by the vet, make sure we're current on all of our vaccinations, maybe get some blood work, make sure everything's okay, maybe make sure we don't have any parasites. But then also just keeping an eye on it, making sure our stool is normal, we're not vomiting or anything like that would be good.
You know, in terms of going to the vet and doing the normal things you need on a regular basis, how often, I know I asked you this in the past, and we just did this with our dog Betty, but oftentimes it's a little after the fact and the teeth are already sore. How often should you go and have your dog's teeth cleaned? We could tell there was an abscess that had formed or something, and it was our fault, and I had to hurt, and we got her in the vet as quick as we could, and they've cleaned her teeth and removed a couple teeth, and she's great. Dogs don't show the pain.
No, they don't until it gets really bad.
So then you feel horrible about it. And
so there's not really a solid answer as to how often you should have Betty's teeth cleaned. Every dog's a little bit different. Some dogs need it every 6 months. Some dogs need it once a year. Probably every dog needs it about every 2 years, but it just depends, which is why that annual exam is so important. You get the dog in, you let the doctor do an exam, we get updated on, you know, vaccinations, heartworm testing, fecal exams, things like that, and then we can see what those teeth look like and be like, oh, Betty needs to get in. But some dogs, I mean, I have a couple of patients that literally could use a dental every 6 months because they have such bad teeth.
Right.
But for the majority, it's every year, every 2 years.
Okay. And does it matter what type of food, or can you do things to try to keep their teeth clean? But by the way, you know, you can get those little brushes on your finger. It never works for me trying to brush the dog's teeth.
My father brushes his dog's teeth every day.
I guess the dog gets used to it.
Yes.
And my dogs aren't. And so I need to do it enough that they get used to it. But it's just hard for me to get them to sit still for me to do it. And
I know.
I'm lousy
and who has the time to do that? So, yes, there are things that you can do, but there is not a magic everything. It's all about genetics, just like in people. There are some people that brush their teeth 3 times a day, floss twice a day, and still have a cavity every time they go to the dentist. There are other people who floss? I don't know any. And brush their teeth twice a day, who never have a problem.
Somehow, right.
And so it's all about our genetics, and saliva different saliva is different, and everybody has a little bit of antibacterial, for a better, it's not really, but way to clean your own mouth. And some dogs lucked out in the gene pool, and some dogs were in the shallow end and didn't get those same genes. Interestingly, typically the smaller the dog, the less it has of that. The bigger the dog, typically, the more it has of that. So you more likely see small dogs that have horrible mouths that need to have
or
their
no teeth. They just fall out, right?
Or they're extracted before they fall out, because gosh, that would be a really painful thing to just have your teeth rot out of your head. So usually it's smaller dogs. That being said, I have a patient who's a 90-pound dog who I just had to extract. I think we did it in 2 different sessions, 19, 20 teeth.
Wow.
Because they were so bad.
So bad. Yeah, poor thing.
And we broke it into 2 sessions. We had, I did one day when the dog came in, we did the x-rays, we saw how many teeth needed to come out, and we said, you know what? We're going to take everything off of this side, and we're going to send the dog home, let her recover, and about a month later, we're going to come back and do the other side. Because can you imagine all of that? Yeah. So a lot of times if we have, a really severe mouth, we'll break it into 2 surgeries.
And you do knock them out.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Of course. Just folks, that it is not just something where they show up and, sit back, open your mouth, we'll do a cleaning. With an animal, as you might imagine, you have to knock them out. So it's not an inexpensive procedure as you would think, but it's well worth it once or twice a year.
It's cheaper than it would be if you went to the dentist.
Yes, that's right. It is cheaper than that for sure.
One tooth extraction at the dentist for you guys is like $1,700.
Oh, geez.
We did 10 for like $1,200.
Yeah, there you go.
What a bargain.
It's not bad. All right,
and it included general anesthesia.
I gotcha. All right, listen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll take more calls, 737-7587. Have other questions for her. Like I said, I want to get into the very latest out there on flea and tick treatment and questions we get sometimes about folks considering the possibility of getting pet insurance. What a veterinarian thinks of that. We'll be back with more right after this.